to the Ladies Car Care Talk Show. I'm so excited today because today we have a friend, a very special person for me. Her name is Kimberly, and I really am very excited to hear her story and everything she had to share with us. So, hi, Kimberly. Tell me a little bit about you so the audience can know you a little bit better.
Hey, yes, I am a mom of six children. I have five of them still at home, and I just work from home, take care of them, and homeschool and work on my little business. So we stay always doing something, always having things going on.
I can imagine. I mean, I do have four kids, but with you, six? Okay, yeah, that's a lot of work too. Yeah, well, we're here just to talk about a little bit about cars and an experience that you may have with your car. Have you ever felt discouraged when you take your car to the mechanic or any experience that you had before?
Yeah, so I have a Chrysler minivan that I love, and it's about 10 years old, and I still love it. But a few years back, I had just my brakes need to be changed, no big deal. But at that time, I was a single mom, and I had little envelopes I saved for each and everything, like my grocery envelope, and so I had a little envelope for auto repairs, and I took my van to the place my dad recommended. I thought, oh, they'll be okay. They know my dad, and I had I think I had $175 in my envelope, and they changed out my brakes, and it was 172, and I was like, oh, awesome! I had the cash for it. And I drive it home, and it's louder. The squeaky noise is louder than when I brought it up there. And I'm like, something's not right. So I turn back around, and I tell the guy, sir, it's still squeaking. And he said, oh, okay, let me see. Let me drive it. So I wait, and he drives it a loop around town. He comes back. He's like, I don't hear anything. I said, okay. So I get back in it and squeak all the way home. And I really didn't have the confidence to be like, no, sir, it is still squeaking. I went to my dad and I said, Dad, I went to this guy. He was supposed to fix my brakes and they're still squeaky. He said, I'll take a look at it. So in his own carport, he pulled my van up on some little ramps and he took a look at those brakes, and he saw that the brake pads were put in backwards. I didn't even know that could happen. And so they wouldn't go in. So they had been like smashed in.
Oh,
And in just the ride home, it had destroyed my rotors. Yeah. I was
no.
so disappointed. I was so upset. And I mean, I had $3 left in my envelope. So my dad said, let me call my brother. So he called uh, my uncle, and he came over, and the van is still up. And they went to like AutoZone or somewhere and tried to get some replacement parts. I think they even went to a junkyard to find me a rotor. Like it was a whole weekend ordeal, because I couldn't go back. And my uncle said that something about the way my van was built was like a Cadillac. Like it was a little bit different than like typical vehicles. And so they had just done what like the routine, but they didn't account for the fact that mine was a little bit different. So it got fixed, but that was very frustrating, and it took all weekend staying at my mom's house to get that one uh, brake and rotor redone.
Oh my goodness, how frustrated. And you never called back or you never went back to the place just to tell them, hey, you didn't do your job right.
No, I didn't. And I thought like, maybe my dad would do that for me, but he didn't either because he wanted to like, maintain relationship with them. And so we just let it go.
Oh
Right.
my goodness. Don't tell me that.
No, it was, yeah. And so a few months later, I had a window that wouldn't roll up or down. I was scared to death. I was scared to death. I'm like, I can't go to somebody. They're just going to make my window worse. So I actually went to a different place.
Oh my goodness. No, no, no. I hear a lot this type of stories or experiences with a lot of customers, and mostly when they're women. that they have these experiences. And it's hard. It's sad that we're still having these issues at this time. But I mean, we have to change. We have to change. That's why this is the mission of the Ladies Car Care. I feel that it's time for us to start taking control of everything when it comes to car maintenance and all of that. So have you ever felt empowered doing something by yourself in your car?
Oh, okay. We might have to circle back to this one. So my van has a DVD player that you pull down, from the top, and it broke one time. Like, we didn't know, like sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. So we got on eBay and we found that there's like a little ribbon. It's just one little thing that can be reconnected, and it's so easy for it to burn out because it opens and closes all the time. Yeah. And so we ordered this part on eBay for $20 because we're like, it's broke. It can't get any more broken. So maybe for $20 we can fix it, because it was going to be like hundreds of dollars to take it in to get it fixed. So we got this little part on eBay, and my son he's 10, he loves to take things apart and try to put them back together. So it was a perfect project for him. And we just went in one little area and replaced that one little strip. And then it's been working. That was years ago. It's been working for years. So I felt like a genius. It was kind of like a catch-22, because I really enjoyed that whole year the kids didn't have TV in the van. So I'm like, man, why did I fix that? But it did. It
yeah,
led me.
I love that. I love that you even include your kids in doing it.
Yeah. And so now when something breaks, as long as it's not like hazardous, I'm like, can I fix that? And I go to YouTube. So we have the back hatch with the little hydraulics that opens. Yeah. And recently that it wouldn't stay up. You try to open it, it would smash you in the head. So went right back to eBay and I found those little hydraulics and a mom on YouTube. And she showed like, hey, I fixed this part of my van. The video is less than 5 minutes. And she fixed both of her little hydraulic bars. You have to change them out both at the same time. So I'm like, I can do this. And I did have my husband to help with that because of holding it up. It's a really heavy door. So, but yeah, totally fixed that without having to go in the shop.
That is amazing. I love to hear the stories, because these are little wins that we have always to celebrate. And now I really want to focus on your kids. I mean, you say you have 6 kids, and I know 3 of them are twins or teenagers, right? And am I right?
That's right.
So how you feel like once that you see your 10 years old back then, like trying to fix something, and now when he's going to start driving, I don't know if he's already driving, I mean, having a lot of knowledge now about their car, how you did that, how you are teaching your kids to know this life skill, and how important it is for you to do it.
Well, he's 10 now. He was younger then, but my oldest kids are my girls. So I have a 14-year-old, a 17-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And they each are different. My 18-year-old, when we're teaching her to drive, she knows everything. She's got it. And it's like, oh no, that's kind of scary, But then my 17-year-old, she was a little overcautious. She didn't want to pull out and go. She just wanted to kind of like grandma, and that was actually more nerve-wracking than the one that was like, I got this, and she had the confidence, because we were always like, you have to go, you pull out, you have to go, someone's gonna hit you. And she just, that lack of confidence, she didn't want to drive. She always wanted us to take her places and drop her off. We're like, look, you got to learn how to do this. The church is 2 miles from the house. This is good practice. You got to go. And she eventually got more comfortable with it, but she was very slow to spread her wings and driving. But the biggest thing that I think is more of an issue now than it was maybe 10 years ago
Mhm.
is children, like younger children, are not paying attention to their parents driving in the car. They have like the DVD player I fixed. They have devices, different things, and they're not aware of their surroundings. And I think that was one of the biggest issues with my 17-year-old was because she, every time, from the time she was a baby, every time she get in the car, she would go to sleep. And from point A to point B, she would sleep every time, still today. And I feel like, or on her phone, and I feel like just because we didn't make sure that, okay, when we're in the car, we're paying attention to how mom's driving, we're paying attention to how dad's driving, we're paying attention to which way we go and what we do at a four-way stop and all that. And so ever since we've kind of gone through this last year of her driving on her own and sort of recognized that that was an issue, we've been a lot more intentional with the younger kids. So I've got a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and then the baby. But when we go places, we tell them when we're backing out of the driveway, okay, everybody look, and they have to look left and look right and tell us, clear my way. And that's just our routine. So they are developing habits of paying attention. And sometimes, this might be bad, but sometimes people do bad things in traffic, and I'm like, oh, don't do that when you start driving. That's very dangerous. Sometimes I do bad things when I'm driving, and I'm like, oh, don't drive like this. Don't do this. Like that yellow light that you have to like really squeeze through. I'm like, oh, don't do this. Don't do this. But I think that's a big shift that we've made, having I call it graduating two drivers to independent driving, and then having the other four coming up. Is just really being intentional about our surroundings, what town we're in, how different situations work. Like we have some really weird yielding and stop signs in our little town, and just talking through that with them while we're in the car, every time, even if I do it, 5 times. And sometimes I play a little game with my 5-year-old, and we live in a very small town. And so maybe we just run to the post office, and I'll tell her, okay, we're about to back out of the driveway, and I need you to get me to the post office. And her job is to pay attention and tell me left or right at every stop. And she can get me there. And sometimes we take, one time she took me through the parking lot of the police department. I'm like, oh no. But it's so fun, and we laugh, and it's a game. And I feel like that helps them want to pay attention when they have like control of the vehicle from the back seat. And if I'm not in a hurry, I like to play that game with her and my 10-year-old. My 14-year-old doesn't really care about that game, but
But I like that you are doing things to make them interested of learning. And I think everything that's about that. I mean, obviously every kid is different, every teenager is different. They are receiving so many changes in their lives when they have this age. But at the same time, if we can, as a parent, make them more responsible, because they're just about one step away to become an adult. And it's our responsibility to make them feel confident, to make them feel responsible for what they're doing. And I mean, teaching them this stuff, it's great. But at the same time, we have to teach them everything about car maintenance as well. What to do in case of a car emergency situation. What do you need to do in case you are stranded off the middle of the road, you see a stranger coming up? I mean, there's a lot of things that we have to be responsible as a parent to teach our kids. I have a repair shop with my husband, and it breaks my heart every time that a teenager, maybe at 18 years old or 19 years old, comes to the shop and they said, you know what, I need to do my oil change. And when we check, maybe he has already passed more than three times the oil change. They didn't do it before. And we asked why you didn't do it. I mean, now your oil change need more staff because you didn't do your maintenance on time. Oh, because I didn't know. Why you didn't check? I didn't know I could check. So there's a lot of little things that I'm like, no. I mean, we as parents have the responsibility of saying, you know what, you want to drive, you want to become more responsible. Well, you have to learn how your car works. before you even start driving. Obviously, checking how they drive, checking the other people how they drive, because I think right now it's most of checking the other people more than you do, because other people, there's a lot of people crazy out there that it's driving, and a lot of times the accidents doesn't happen because of you but because of the other people. And teaching of that is it's great, but at the same time we have to teach them about becoming responsible on their own car. So I do have a lot of information about that in our page, regarding what do you need to teach your teenager to make them feel confident and make them feel like, oh, okay, I already know something. And I think like the thing number one that we should be teaching our teenagers is, hey, what is the information of my car? Where I can find the VIN number of my car, where I can find obvious the license number, it's right there, they know that. But the VIN number, a lot of times they don't know where is the VIN number, where they need to have all this information gathered in one place, and we have to teach them to be organized in that. Because sometimes the police stop them and they don't even have the car registration on place. They, oh, I don't even know, my dad is the one who have it, or and no, they have to be responsible for that. So there's a lot of little things that they need to know before they start driving, and it's our job as a parent to teach them. And I have different questions regarding that topic, because that topic is really huge and we can keep talking about it. But I think I really want to bring you in because I know you have teenagers at home, and like you just mentioned, they're different. Every teenager is different. Some teenagers have more interest on driving, and others don't. So can you tell me, now that you mentioned that, how you do when you have one that is not interested on driving and the other one is like yes, how you make the other one more interested on saying, okay, I have to do this?
Well, we tried a couple things. They didn't all work. So we tried the, okay, you're going to drive. And that just was miserable. So that didn't work. And then we tried like, okay, you don't have to drive. We'll take you everywhere. And then we're like, no, that's not going to achieve our goal. So we kind of came back to this place of, okay, you want to go to this thing, you need to drive. And we set some boundaries that I think made her feel comfortable. Like, okay, if you go to this thing and it's over after dark, we'll take you. That way you don't have to drive in the dark. So we tried to set her up where she felt confident in just baby steps. Mm-hmm. And then before too long, she was fine driving in the dark. So like Sunday morning, church, it's only 2 miles down the road. We can all fit in one vehicle, but we're like, why don't you go on early so you can visit with your friends? And so she would go 10 minutes ahead of us, and it was daylight. She was excited. She'd get to visit with our friends, and she was motivated then to drive, especially because we're not always on time. So she hates being late, and she's like, oh, I'm not going to wait for, you to nurse the baby or whatever. So that kind of like made her feel like she had control over being there on time and visiting with her friends and all that. So that helped, just finding what she really wanted, and then trying to mold everything else around that. Because when we tried to force one thing or the other, she would just that did not help. But yeah, after a while of her driving just 2 miles to church, or just 4 miles to the grocery store, she started to get really more confident about driving. And then she would say things like, I like driving at night. I like driving at night better than driving during the day. And my husband and I, we would just laugh. Like, she said, oh, I see better at night. I like driving better at night. And we're just like, oh my goodness, this girl. But she did grow in confidence. It just took more time. It took about a year. And now she'll drive, 30 minutes away from home, even like an hour away from home occasionally. So she's really come a long way. But my husband put her in some sticky situations on purpose. Like one day he was coming home from a town about an hour and a half away, and he, finger quotes, he was really sleepy. And it was getting dark. It was dusk. And he said, "Oh, I'm just so tired. I'm afraid I'm going to fall asleep. Can you please drive us home?" And she said, "Okay," and she drove him home. He said it was so painful because she was driving like so slow, like a little grandma, but he was really proud of her because that's when she started all that talking, like, "Ooh, I like driving at night. This is better than driving during the day." And it was so cute to watch her just blossom in that confidence of driving a farther distance, and maybe even as it got dark, even though her dad was with her, it just made us feel good to see her grow in that.
That is great. And you said something very key in here. You find what she likes and you start working around that. I think that is the perfect key for every parent out there that is listening right now to help your kids, to help your teenagers, is to find exactly what they like and then you start working around that. I love that part because I believe sometimes we get frustrated because we want to do things our own way and we don't let them think and act the way they actually were created. I mean, there are human beings that are, we are raising human beings to become responsible, but they have their own thinking and we can't force them to do something the way we want. And I think a lot of times we fall into that, but just finding the right details that they want, that they like, and do it that way, I think it will be more fun with them and they will be more interested in learning. And not just that, but you can integrate so many different things in that. Like, okay, you know what? Now that you're kind of liking more driving, let me teach you how to open the hood. Let me explain you in case that the car is not working, you have to open the hood. What are the steps that you have to follow if the car just stopped working on the middle of the road? You have to open the hood. If you have your emergency kit, you have to get the triangle and put it on the back. Why you have to put it there, and all those little details, we have to explain them why we have to do that. So in case that something like that comes, they already know what to do. So I'm loving this conversation because this is just something very, very special and very important for parents to teach their kids. And we are going to talk about in another episode about the insurance, because I know that it's another thing that parents are concerned when the teenagers are driving, how the insurance go up just because they are teenagers. So stay tuned for the another episode that we're going to touch about that topic. But as right now, Kimberly, can you give us an advice that you can give the parents out there? I know you have different kids, different personalities. One advice that you can give that said, you know what, this is something that I can share with everyone out there.
Well, this is going to come across really biased, and I swear Cindy did not put me up to this, but the emails, just subscribing to your email list, really helped me learn what I needed to teach my children. I had no idea of so many things, and like you have that emergency preparedness email, and it talks about like what all you need to have on hand in your car in case of an emergency. And I'm sitting here going like, oh no, I don't even have this in my car. How am I going to teach my kids? And the thing that prompted me, aside from the fact that we're friends, but the thing that really prompted me to do better in the area of being more prepared in my car, to order your planner, to take steps in the direction of learning how to be more responsible for my vehicle, was the fact that I had two precious girls, and they were responsible now for their own safety in their own vehicles. And I'm like, I gotta get my stuff together. I have to figure this out. I have to take better care. I have to take better responsibility of my vehicle and learn these things. And then I have the opportunity to teach them along as I'm learning, and then help them be better prepared. Because like you said, there's so much out of our control when we're driving, when we're on the road, or when our kids are on the road, right? There's crazy people. There's just situations where like me in the yellow light, you know, you have to just gun it. And there's things that we can't control. But as her mama, I have control of how much knowledge she has about her vehicle, how much better chance she has of making it from point A to point B, or being on the side of the road with the hood up. And like you said, something as simple as just changing the oil, you know. And honestly, Cindy, girls don't care about that. They're more concerned about their lip gloss and that little flat down mirror than they are their oil level or the temperature of their vehicle. And I think one of the beautiful things about what you're doing is you're making it so accessible to that group of people that ordinarily wouldn't care. Your planner is so beautiful and it's so well organized that my 17-year-old, she loves organization. She loves all that kind of stuff. So it's got stickers and all these different things that help along the way as she's recording things. It's also teaching her what she needs to be looking at. It's teaching me what to, you know, bring to her attention. Like, hey, have you checked your wiper fluid lately? You know, like, do you have enough wiper fluid? Is it making any weird sounds when you use your windshield wipers? Maybe we should, you know, change those. And things that I normally wouldn't think about, it's right there. Like every month, I got my checklist. It's right there, and I can just go through there and make sure that I'm doing everything I can do to make sure my children are safe on the road, and then the rest is in God's hands.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you're saying that, because I mean, we have our part. Like, we have the part that we can control, the preparation of make them more responsible and learning this thing in a fun way, because that's the only way they're gonna learn. You know, I know that for me, I mean, my parents are never teach me anything about cars, like nothing. For me, my dad, for me, I was a princess. I was not allowed to get my hands dirty or anything like that. And that was so wrong, because when I was becoming an adult and I was in a situation like that, I didn't know what to do. And when we have that power of teaching our kids in a fun way that they can get interested, and like you say, with your girl, she is very into organization, and you have this tool now that can make her feel like, oh, I like this, I can use the stickers. And that was the whole purpose of creating this planner, to make them feel like, oh, this is something new, this is something different. I mean, it's not like just the boring video or the boring information that I have to go through it, and the owner manual, because that's another thing. The owner manual sometimes looks overwhelming. When you see that thick book out there in the car, it's like, oh, I have to read all that. I don't think so. And I mean, the planner makes it feel more easy to understand. There's a lot of information on the planner, and the planner is just explaining in a way that, oh, you know what, I can understand that. That's easy. That's a different language. So that was the whole purpose of the planner. And I just want to thank you, because I believe that this episode is going to help so many parents out there when they listen your experience, when they listen a lot of different things about their teenagers, but most of all, it may wake up that desire of start helping their children in this area. Because like you said, before I was like very interested in doing it, because not even me was doing it, but how I can learn in helping them. You know, that was the way I learned. When my husband was teaching me in the shop, once he teach me, I went to a customer and teaching them. And that's the way that you learn too. I mean, I already see how he do it. Okay, let me teach someone else. And that way, I mean, I learn faster. So thank you, Kimberly, for being part of our show today. I'm so blessed to have you as a friend. I'm so blessed to have you here on the show, and you can actually share your experience with all the parents and moms out there. So thank you so much for being part of the show. And I don't know if you something else that you want to add before we say goodbye.
Oh, no, I was just thinking about the kids and how you said you learn by teaching. And I have all these stair-step kids, and I'm like, you know, that's a really good idea. I should think of some incentive for when they learn a lesson from the planner, that they would turn around and teach the next in line. And maybe that would help kind of take so much off of my plate, having 3 teenage girls. And then also maybe, like you said, finding what they're into, maybe that would, help them to learn and then teach, and then the next one learn and teach. And I think even all the way down to my 5-year-old. I think my 10-year-old son could learn from my 14-year-old and teach my 5-year-old. And we could make it just really fun and have like a fun family movie night or something as an incentive for learning each lesson. So thank you for the ideas and for having me here. It was a pleasure just being with you today and sharing about our family.
Hey, thank you so much. I love that. Yeah. So if you want any more information regarding how to teach your kids or how you can become confident in your car, just visit our website. We have so much information there, or even our Facebook community. So I know Kimberly is part of the community as well, and we're so happy to have her there. So thank you so much. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day, and see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Ladies Car Care Talk Show. For more resources from Cindy or to join the Ladies Car Care Facebook community, you can follow the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening and share with your friends.